Hello and welcome to another episode of Whether or Not. I'm your host Matthew Howard, joined here by our forecaster Austin Long. And Austin, how are things turning out going into meteorological spring?
Spring looks to be starting on a bit of a warmer note. We're going to have a little bit of clouds and some rain this weekend, but other than that, I think it's some pretty spring-like conditions starting off March here.
I enjoy these high temperatures we've been having this year so far. And coming up next is your Nature in the News.
Another feat when it comes to landing spacecraft just happened not too long ago. On February 22nd, the spacecraft named Odysseus touched down on the surface of the moon. Built by Intuitive Machines in Houston, Texas, the lunar lander passed over the moon on February 21st before landing on the 22nd. This is the first U.S. spacecraft to touch down on the moon since 1972, when the last Apollo crew visited the moon. Odysseus gave the crew in Houston a bit of a nail-biter when the laser rangefinders, which helped the craft land autonomously, started to malfunction. Mission engineers had to upload a software patch to enable it to use a secondary laser provided by NASA instead. It was unknown if the landing was successful until Mission Control picked up a faint signal indicating at least some portion of the craft survived. 5 of the previous 9 moon landing attempts made by the U.S. have failed, but this successful landing was made possible thanks to NASA's commercial partnership with Intuitive Machines. With this partnership, NASA stowed 6 payloads to collect lunar data to aid in future moon landings. A second Intuitive Machines moon mission is slated to carry an ice drill to the South Polar region later this year. After this landing, the partner teams at NASA and Intuitive Machines are optimistic for the future of lunar landings.
While a polar air mass moved through China this past week, it froze the top of the country's tallest skyscraper, Shanghai Tower. This skyscraper is 127 stories and over 2,000 feet tall. The average roof temperature was 23 degrees Fahrenheit, making it susceptible to freezing. An event like this is quite unusual for Shanghai, as temperature minimums in February are above freezing on average. A freezing rain event helped to cause this icing. This event was so unusual since freezing rain did not occur there for over 150 years. The frozen precipitation froze highways and destroyed cars. The freezing on top of this building brought a threat for melting ice as temperatures increased. Due to this threat, city officials closed the roadways around the building for the safety of cars and pedestrians.
A decades-old mystery about one of the most famous star explosions in history may have just been solved. The James Webb Space Telescope detected signs of an ultra-dense neutron star in the explosion's core in a galaxy that orbits the Milky Way. Light from the explosion reached Earth last week and took 37 years to get here. Supernova 1987A revolutionized modern astrophysics by providing an up-close view of how stars die. This supernova wowed scientists back in February 1987 when they first noticed a wave of ghostly particles called neutrinos being emitted from the Large Magellanic Cloud galaxy, which is around 160,000 light-years away. It was the closest and brightest supernova observed since 1604. Scientists began keeping track of the explosion by watching rings of gas and dust expand from the explosion site. The world's most powerful telescopes, including the Hubble Space Telescope, tracked the evolution of the explosion but failed to find anything left behind from the explosion. There was enough evidence present to suggest that either a black hole or neutron star formed, but signs pointed toward the formation of a neutron star. The James Webb Telescope revealed fingerprints of ionized argon and sulfur gas, which are indicators of a neutron star. This is the strongest observational evidence so far, but nothing is conclusive yet. Astronomers will now begin focusing on furthering their understanding of the neutron star and how it evolves over time.
An extreme cold front pushed its way throughout the United States earlier this week. This front brought a severe thunderstorm component along. The Midwest storms brought many reports of 1-inch plus hail, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and tornado touchdowns. As this cold front marched east, temperatures dropped over 20 degrees Fahrenheit per hour. Dodge City hit a high temperature of 74 degrees, then dropped 50 degrees 7 hours later. As temperature changes are more common across the Midwest than in parts of the eastern U.S., it is uncommon to get one this extreme for the region. Many locations in the Midwest experience summer-like weather. However, once the cold front advanced through, places gained back a winter feel. While this cold front was powerful, temperatures will rebound quite quickly as higher temperatures are expected once again for much of the eastern half of the United States.
March is going to start off on some warmer note, and we're going to have some rain and clouds also being a factor heading into the weekend. Speaking of clouds and rain, Friday is going to be our cloudy and not so much rainy day, but that rain is off to our south in the Virginias. Mainly cloudy, a little cooler on Friday, still above average, but clouds are going to help to keep those temperatures higher heading into Saturday with some more mild conditions. The rain is going to head over Pennsylvania. We're going to have some showers over the western central half, but a mainly steadier rain over the eastern half. Those clouds are going to hang around Saturday, but you can see over Indiana that sun is going to be our main player heading into Sunday. A very nice day to be out and about, mainly sunny and warm. We're expected to hit about 60 degrees heading over into Sunday. Once these clouds dissipate, it will become a very nice sunny day. So to recap, Friday we're looking at a high of 49, mostly cloudy, and I think those clouds are going to hang around into the evening as showers begin to move in late, our low of 36. With those showers moving in late, we're going to see them hang around in the morning hours with our high of 50, and don't cancel plans for Saturday. It's only going to be some morning showers, nothing into the afternoon, which is where our low of 40 and still those clouds hanging around into Saturday night are going to be present. And once those clouds move out over Saturday night, Sunday is really looking to be a beautiful day. Our forecasted high of 60, mostly sunny. Get out and enjoy Sunday while it lasts. It looks like a beautiful start to March. Great day to be alive. Up next is Gavin Sandel's feature on West Coast earthquakes.
Here in Pennsylvania, we're subject to a lot of weather-related events. From the sunny days to the blizzard nights, we here in Pennsylvania go through a lot. But there is one weather-related instance that you might miss here in Pennsylvania, and you'll have to go to the Golden State to see that in full effect.
And home for the Giants, one of the most spectacular vistas on this continent, any continent. Downtown San Francisco and
In mid-October 1989, the Bay Area was preparing for Game 3 of that year's World Series, pitting the two local teams, the Athletics and Giants, against each other. Though just a half hour before the game, history would change forever.
So the Oakland A's take.
I'll tell you what, we're having an earth.
The Loma Prieta earthquake shocked the Bay Area in broad daylight, though the effects outside the stadium were even more dire. Several highways had collapsed. The Bay Bridge, which carries Interstate 80 from Oakland to San Francisco, had a portion that collapsed as well. A total of 63 lost their lives due to the disaster. Though the Bay Area's infrastructure was well prepared for an earthquake, especially due to a more dire one in 1906, the nation's eyes watching the World Series and the ensuing breaking news got their first true glimpse of the natural disaster. Since that fateful fall day, however, there have been 0 earthquakes on the West Coast that have come close to the 6.9 magnitude Loma Prieta. To understand why that is, we need to take a look underground at what causes earthquakes. The west edge of California is roughly defined by the San Andreas Fault. This fault is a boundary between 2 large tectonic plates. These 2 plates move in opposite directions, which is an incredibly important factor for earthquakes. The movement is not perfect, though, and the plates can sometimes get caught up in one another. If time builds and these caught-up plates stick together, a sudden strong movement between the 2 plates is possible. When this happens, the movement releases stored-up energy in the form of seismic waves, which propagate through the earth and cause the ground surface to shake. So why haven't there been any major shocks in over 35 years? And when could we see one next? Experts aren't confident, but they may pinpoint some of the inactivity from a period of major activity in the 19th and early 20th centuries. From 1800 to 1918, there were 8 quakes that registered above a 6.5 on the Richter scale, as compared to an average of 3 to 4 in one century. This elevated activity could have simply exhausted the energy in the fault. Of course, earthquakes are still wildly common. Tens to hundreds occur each day, though they commonly register with magnitudes of just 1 to 4, which ranges from impossible to barely possible to personally notice. But many experts point to a major shakeup happening sometime in the near to mid-future. The 1906 earthquake in San Francisco, which had a magnitude of 7.9, is a bar set by several professionals as a major quake. Fortunately, the best guess is that tremors like that only occur every 200 years, so there's just about a 2% chance of a 1906 repeat in the next 30 years. Heading one order of magnitude smaller, other specialists use a Richter scale reading of 7 as the benchmark. The major concern here lies in the Hayward Fault, which is a branch of the more infamous San Andreas Fault near San Francisco. Due to this specific branch incurring less activity, experts have pinpointed shocks over this region to be the most likely over the next 30 years. The USGS has selected 2032 as the year a major earthquake will likely occur by in the Bay Area. Though we're just about 8 years away from that, tremors, major or minor, can still occur at any time. If you plan to live in California, it's important to have a safety plan in mind in case a major quake strikes town. Though I'm sure it would be a shock to all if the next major earthquake strikes just before a Giants World Series game. For Whether or Not, I'm Gavin Sandel.
Looks like the warmth, rain, and clouds are going to be a player heading into next week after this weekend. Speaking of this weekend, however, we're going to look at our mostly cloudy skies on Friday. Those clouds are going to hang around Friday night into Saturday morning, bringing some morning showers. Nothing to cancel plans over in the afternoon on Saturday. Those clouds will leave Saturday night into Sunday, bringing some really sunny conditions. And speaking of sun and clouds and rain and all of that jumbled in between, our week coming up, very above average temperatures. Our average line is sitting right above 40 at 42 degrees. And you can see the clouds, rain, mix of sun on Monday, and clouds throughout the rest of the week are sticking around, hanging around with us as spring is officially here. Welcome to March. And speaking of precipitation, that actually brings me to our Weather Whiz question of the day.
All right, we have our Weather Whiz quiz question of the day, and today we are going to talk about precipitation. Specifically, what is the record highest monthly precipitation amount for March in State College? Is it A, 7.02 inches, B, 8.86 inches, C, 9.14 inches, or D, 9.56 inches? And if you selected B, 8.86 inches, you would be correct. And Austin, this was in 1936, so quite a bit of time ago.
Yeah, that was almost 90 years ago, and luckily I don't think we're going to have that much precipitation heading into March here.
Absolutely not, and we're definitely going to be seeing some more sunshine, and that will be quite enjoyable, especially as we get towards many Penn State students getting their spring breaks.
Yeah, it should be warm across the eastern half of the United States here coming up for spring break here at Penn State.
And I'm very excited for that. And this does it for another episode of Whether or Not. We hope to see you next week.